Okay. Hi everyone, thank you very much for joining me. I'm Salomon Brys, and today it's not going to be a very technical talk. It's more of an inspirational one. The key phrase, the key sentence here is, did you know you can do that with Compose? And go nuts. So let's dive right into it. This is Compose Beyond UI, and I want to show you how to use Compose to write something else than just a user interface. So, hi Kotlin Conf, I want to show you two tricks. And let's pretend that this square here is our monitor. I want to show you this Hello Kotlin Conf text, but wide enough, and I want it to be adaptable to any display. So if I change the display, I want it to change with the display. And as it stands, of course, it's a very still UI. So if I shorten the display, then it will begin to, break. And if I widen the display, that it will not follow the display. So here's what I coded. It's very simple code. The most important thing here is that there's a box, and I said on that box, this is the size. I want a 480 by 360. This is the size of my framework. And I want to work within that framework, and I want it to adapt for any kind of screen size. So this is the same thing, and this is the density. And that's the first trick I want to show you, is that the density is not something fixed that is provided you by the system. It's something that you can play with. In this example, if I change the size of my monitor, then the density will change with it. And if I change the size only here, for example, it will not change until it feels that it doesn't have enough space, and then it will. And of course, the same thing happens here. So here, we'll never have a text that is wider than the screen because the density changes with the screen itself. So here's how I did that. This is the same code, the same box, but now I keep the outside density, which is basically the local density, and I change the inside density. How do I change it? I calculate the ratio. So I say, OK, I want a 480 by 360, so which is the widest, the longest difference, the biggest difference between screen width and screen height, and I take the minimum one so that it will adjust to the screen. And then most importantly, I change the value of local density. So local density is provided you by default by the system, but it's something that you can change yourself, and then suddenly you have a presentation that adapts to your screen no matter the screen size. And as you can see, this is my 480 by 360 framework, and it will always take the maximum space it can from the screen. And if I remove the screen, then suddenly you have a nice presentation. So, hello Kotlin Conf. This is the first trick. You can change the density. And so with that, you can use Compose to basically compose your presentations. Instead of using weird tools that I'm personally very bad at, I'm very good at Compose, so I want to use Compose to create presentations, of course, such as this one. And I want to show you this tool that we created with my partner called Compose Your Pres, or CUP for short. You can find it here at this address. And if you want to create a presentation with Compose, with great animation, and by utilizing the knowledge that you already have, you can do so with that library. It supports a lot of features. For example, multi-step slides. These are different steps of the same slide. Obviously, it supports animation. It supports code highlighting, as you've seen previously. It can support speaker notes, for example. Laser pointer, you can, for example, draw over your presentation, etc., etc. You can have a hoot. And it also supports PDF export. And PDF export is the second trick that I want to show you. So that second trick is that you can actually use this API called Image Compose Scene on desktop only, and it will basically render the scene inside an image. And then you can use that image and encode it as a PNG. And then you can basically create images with Compose. Most importantly, you still need to set the density because you don't want each pixel to be a DP, or everything will be very, very small in your images. So you define your own density according to your ratio and how you want your content to fit inside the image, and then you can use this. And then from this, you can use libraries such as PDFbox or Compose to PDF to use those PNG and create a PDF with that. And so suddenly, what you can do is use Compose not only for UI and not only for displaying dynamic content on any range of screen. You can also use Compose to create your own physical designs. So I have a question. Do you like games? Well, I feel sad for you because I love games. This is like half of my board game collection. That's a problem between me and my wife. I had to have this furniture especially made so that I can, park them. And I also love making games. So these are 3 games, for example, that I've created. The 2 at the top are games that already exist, but that I have redesigned. And the bottom game is a game that I created myself, and I've made the rules. And so these are cards, because I love card games, and I wanted to have a great tool, an easy tool, to make cards. Because the thing is, I don't like Photoshop, or more exactly, I'm not proficient with Photoshop. And you're going to tell me that Photoshop isn't the right tool. It's probably Illustrator, but I'm also very bad at it. But I'm good at Compose. So this is a game I redesigned, and it has a problem. This is a card, and this is the front and the back of the card. So what I want to do is create those PNG and send them to a printer, a professional printer, who will print the card and send them back to me, and then I'll have a great time playing my very own game. But before I send these files to the printer, I want to print them myself. Why? Because I make mistakes, and I don't want to have the game entirely printed and pay a lot, just to have the cards back and realize that I've made a terrible mistake. So the tools that I made can export PNG, but it can also export PDFs with cut marks. Okay, that's great. This is, for example, an A5, so there's only 4 cards on that sheet. And okay, let's assume I cut the sheet perfectly on the front, which gives me that card. I still have a problem, and the problem is on the back. Because the card has 2 sides, on the back, there will be an offset, just right here. And I hate that, because it suddenly feels like the game was printed on a personal printer, which it was. But I don't want it to feel that way when I'm playing it. So what I need to have a back that allows for offset. So what can I do? I can, instead of generating this card, I can say, okay, this slanted text is great, but for my non-professional version, let's have a non-slanted text. And with that, I can have a card that feels nice on the front and on the back. And what I want to show you is how easy it is for me to correct that. Because I don't know Photoshop, I don't know Illustrator, but I do know programming. And this, I can just make the angle a variable that I can change. And then I can set this angle from 8 degrees to 0 degrees, and suddenly, I just have to re-export my cards and export my PDF. And if I want to send the game to a professional printer, I'll set it to 8 degrees again, generate the PNG, and then send those to the printer. So I can change the entire cards, all the cards, and all the types of cards with the same variable here or here. And all the cards will be updated. And that's something that I cannot do with classic design problems. So, classic design tools. So, what I encourage you, for example, if you like making games like me, or if you want to do, I don't know, business cards, or I don't know, any kind of thing that you want to print, is to compose it. And if you like card game, you can use this tool, which is called Card Composer. It's a very small project that I published on my own. It's not on Maven Central, it's just to have fun. But if you want to create game cards and have the ability to print them with cut marks, you can use that. It's fun. So, the takeaway of this talk is that I always thought that I'm a bad designer. And the truth is, I am. I'm not a very good designer. But I think a more correct way to phrase it is to say that I'm bad at thinking like a designer, because I think like a programmer. And so what I really want to do when I have something in my mind is the ability to program my design. Because I know in Compose how to overlay text, how to handle padding, how to handle position, and etc., how to handle multiple images with one variable. I know how to do all that in programming. And Compose gives me, through those two tricks, one, you can change the density, two, you can export it as a PNG. Compose gives me that power. And so suddenly, I can make physical items and play with them. And that makes me happy. And that's it for me. So, I'm going to take 2 minutes of your time for the marketing stuff. So I represent a company called Coding Coders. We mainly give Kotlin certified training. So we are certified by JetBrains for our training. But we also provide various Kotlin-related consulting services. So make sure to contact us if you have any kind of need, Kotlin-related. We also do a lot of open source because we truly believe in the community. We do more open source than we should. You should have a look at our finances. We should probably focus on less open source. But we love doing open source, so check our projects. And that's it for me. Don't forget to vote, of course, only if you liked this presentation. This presentation is entirely written in Kotlin multi-platform with the cap tools that I presented you earlier. So, of course, it is exported as a WASM web application. So you can go to that link, and then you'll see the entire presentation. Thank you very much. We have 2 minutes for questions because, amazingly, I finished on time.
If there's any question, please come forward to the microphone.
You need to go to the mic.
Hi, thank you for the talk. I was wondering, when you talked about exporting to PDF, that you're actually just creating PNG files and then printing them into a PDF.
Yeah.
But with that, I'm losing like searchability, or I have to do like OCR to get searchability back. Is there a way to export to a more robust or less image-based format?
So there is. So first of all, my experience, for example, you can export the presentation as a PDF. My experience is that most PDF reader will OCR for you, and you will be able to take to copy-paste the text. So, for example, if you would take the PDF for this presentation, even though it's entirely image-based, at least on macOS, you can copy-paste the code. So the OCR is done for you. Now, there are some libraries, for example, Compose to PDF, that use another renderer and that generates SVGs from your Compose instead of PNGs, and that works, but the rendering is not pixel perfect, meaning there's a lot of small differences, and sometimes things just don't work because they're not meant to be exported to SVG. So, if, for example, if you create a PDF document mainly with text, so for example, an invoice, then I would strongly encourage you to use Compose to PDF because, of course, it's made for that. But if you are using a lot of images with composition and animation and that kind of stuff, then Compose to PDF will break your rendering, unless Compose to PDF also supports PNG rendering. So you need to set the renderer to rasterization instead of SVG.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, oh, yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.